Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian. This is your Sunday evening program with your host, Gillian Burton Persaud, where we take a look at the events, the trending issues in our political issues in our country today. Today's program, we have some issues that we can look at, and last week we're coming down to the end of the 53rd anniversary celebrations, independence of Guyana, and we also will be looking at the crime situation in our country and the GCOM start of the house-to-house registration. These, along with some other tidbits of information, we'll be bringing your way this evening. As usual, we start the program with our quote for today, and our quote is, "Challenges are what makes life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful." Challenges are what makes life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. So there was your quote for today. You know, many challenges that we will have in life. The challenges are what makes our lives interesting. But when we can overcome them, that is what makes life meaningful. Well, to get into the meat of our program for today here on Talk Back with Gillian, we know that on the 26th of May, we celebrated 53 years as an independent nation. And there was a lot going on for that period. We had the award ceremony, we had flag raising, we had concerts of foreign artists, and we also had the Carnival Parade, you know, what we will normally call Costume Band and Float Parade. It was now branded Carnival. So Guyana now has Carnival in May for independence. And we see coming out of that, a lot of persons would have participated, and there was the flag raising ceremony. There were those persons who were announced for awards across the country. And also the big thing was the concerts that we were having with all the foreign artists that were there. You know, we had Kess, we had Marshall Montana, we had Buju Banton, the big one. We had that concert that was at the stadium, and where a lot of persons attended because they were given tickets. You know, tickets were given out, and so persons went to that concert to see Buju Banton in style. But my thoughts on all the concerts that we have. You know, we're talking about being an independent nation, 53 years of being independent. Could we not have found it right, as we like to, the new word, fit and proper, to have shows with our local artists? We need to showcase our local artists. We need to sell them. We need to be able to market them, you know, so that persons could know about their music. I listen to a lot of local music, and I can tell you, we have some real great pieces, you know. We have some real outstanding artists, not only of the reggae version or the soca version, but we have different types of artists, persons who can sing, you know, your soul and your R&B music. You will also have persons or artists who performs the drama at the cultural center. We have persons who are into dancing, playing musical instruments. And, you know, as I look and I took note of the itinerary for the independence celebration, you know, I was sad for the fact that our Guyanese artists are not given that push. You know, we didn't need to bring in Buju Banton, and we didn't need to bring in Kess and Marshall Montana. We have Jomo, and we have Adrian Dutchin, we have Big Red, you know, you have Shelly G, and, you know, just to name a few of them, that would have done just a good job. And we're talking about celebrating 53 years as an independent nation. And I think we did not cater for a variety of persons. You know, we just catered for the persons who wanted to go, you know, and exercise their bodies based on the music. You know, the soca fans and the reggae fans. We didn't cater for the persons who had a different taste or flavor for a different type of music or a different type of art form. And it would have been great. And everything was centralized in Georgetown. You know, it would have been great that we could have had artists from across the country, and we are hosting concerts across the length and breadth of Guyana. So persons can, you know, from the various regions could have participated and be a part of this great big celebration as it was supposed to be. You know, so I did not like the fact that we went down that road. You know, it's an independence for Guyanese, of Guyanese, evolving out of a period of colonialism. And we need to be able to say to the world, this is what we would have done for the past 53 years. This is what we would have been able to achieve in all various aspects. I was wondering, what about even the artists? You know, those who do the paintings, and, you know, you have the Women Artists Association, and you also have persons who do sculptures and macrame and crochet different handicrafts. What about those persons? They were all left out, you know. We didn't hear any chutney concerts and that kind of thing, and the classical Indian music, because we're celebrating 53 years as an independent nation of 6 people coming together to make one big positive nation. And so I would have felt that our independence would have celebrated all 6 of our peoples, and that we would have seen a potpourri of culture, of arts, of craft coming forward. You know, our agriculture and all of that. We would have been able to showcase that for 53 years, because we would have made great strides from you know, 1966 to now. We would have made a great strides. So what happened? Are we not really happy of what we would have done? So I do hope that our next independence, we will have an inclusive celebration that will include each and every person, each and every race, each and every art form, each and every artist, local, you know. And maybe we could have something where we honor our artists and our artists, you know. They need to be honored. They need to be recognized for the work that they would have been doing. And I do hope that, you know, let's take that on stream. Let's take that into mind. We need to work on things like that. You know, we're bringing and we're spending money to bringing persons who are celebrated in their country. And very little or very few of our artists are being celebrated in those countries. And it's not that they're not good. It's not that they don't, you know, put out a good performance. They don't, not that they don't, you know, do their thing in a way that is acceptable and that it has value. So we need not to put our people on a back burner. We need to celebrate them. If we're going to celebrate them, let's celebrate our people. And, you know, there was a lot of talk about the distribution of the tickets, that for the Buju Banton show, and how much money was spent to purchase those tickets. There was a lot of controversy around it, you know. And if it was true that that money was spent, that type of money was spent to purchase tickets to share out, you know, one, we need to question where the money came from. And 2, we need also to look at what more that money could have done. Then you didn't need to call that big hefty price to go to the concert. It could have been affordable so that persons could have gone, those who wanted to go. And that money that was used to purchase tickets to share out to people to go to the concerts, it could have done something more. It could have done something else, you know, beneficial to the Guyanese people. That would have benefited all Guyana. you know, at this time when we have a rapidly declining economy, we can't throw away money like that. It's needed to build our economy, to help our young people. Maybe it could have built some kind of facility that would have created jobs for our young people. The very young people that the tickets were given to go to the concert, you know. Yes, Buju Banton did went into some areas, I think 2 or 3 areas. I think it was all Boys Town, Tiger Bay, and at Victoria. He went and visited the young people there and talking to them about, you know, not being involved in a life of crime and, you know, to be able to uplift themselves in a positive way. Fine, good message for our young people. But again, we need to be able to utilize our own local artists. There are many good young people out there. They're not all bad. We have very good young people who are positive, who are focused, and who can be great role models coming out of their various professions. And we need to utilize them to go to talk to their fellow young people. We don't need to bring foreign people to come and tell us that we shouldn't have a life of crime and we shouldn't drop out of school and we should stay focused. We got our own people, you know, if we're talking about being independent, that is what we need to do. We don't need to bring in foreign people to tell us what to do. We argue about it at one time. We don't like to hear about it, but then when it suits us, we bring persons in and let them spread the message. Well, we did that, and I do hope we continue using our young, positive role models, leaders, to do the same thing, to go out there and to spread the word and to talk and encourage other young people to stay on the right track. And you know, we're asking how did we benefit from all of this entire celebration, this carnival that we had, and how did it benefit Guyana? I've been hearing some persons saying, you know, a lot of money came in, persons made quite a lot of money, taxi drivers and the food people in the entertainment places, they made money on it. Well, let us hope that it's not a one-off, because you make that money and then you utilize it at the rate of the cost of living and those things. But then how does it continue from there? And I heard quite a lot of young people, you know, who are into the nightlife. They were complaining that it seems that Guyanese have to wait until there is an occasion that will see a lot of foreigners coming into the country before the 2 a.m. curfew is lifted. And, you know, they were saying it's not fair to them. They're living here in Guyana, and they, you know, all that the 2 a.m. curfew was supposed to be able to rectify, it hasn't done, like crime and road accidents, it hasn't happened. And so they are now worried that they have to wait whenever foreign Guyanese return home or foreigners come to Guyana for big events that the 2 a.m. curfew is lifted. And they're saying it's unfair to them, you know, who live here in Guyana. Well, with all of that happening and all the activities, you know, persons were quite concerned about the crime in our country, which continues to be a sore point. And the U.S. State Department last week issued a travel advisory on Guyana, where it advised persons to exercise increased caution in Guyana due to violent crimes such as armed robberies and murder. They also stated that the local police lack the resources to respond effectively to serious criminal incidents. Well, that being said, the Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Mr. Joseph Harmon, he refuted that statement, stating that Guyana was a safe place. But, you know, sometimes we wonder where our government officials that have responsibilities in certain areas, you know, what are their mindset and what are they thinking? Because crime is rampant in Guyana, and I'm not saying that the police has not stepped up their game in being able to catch some of the bandits. And we know, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, they caught 3 in Berbice. And during coming down to the end of last week, we saw 3 more who went into a home in Georgetown in Norton Street to carry out a robbery, that they were apprehended by the police. They were shot and killed in an exchange of gunfire between themselves and the police. And the persons would have hailed, you know, the achievements of the police, which is good, you know, that they're doing their job, they're trying to make us safe and comfortable. It's a huge task on that, and you know, persons are happy. If you listen to some of the social media videos that were circulating, persons not only cheered and congratulated the police, but to one extent there was a video where the person was saying, not to borrow with what the president is saying, you know, you need to shoot them, get rid of them. That tells you the frustration of people, you know, with what is going on. You know, they feel that their rights are taken away, their safety is at stake, and so they need to see the backs of these criminal elements. And that is why I say we need our role models, our young role models, to go around and talk to our young people and, you know, encourage them not to lead a life of crime. It is, you know, something that you put people's life at stake, you take people's life, you traumatize people, you traumatize children, and that kind of thing. You know, find yourself something productive to do. But at the same time, you also need the support of a government to ensure that policies and systems are put in place to be able to get those young people to move away from a life of crime and drugs and alcohol and addiction, and to take up a life that will be of benefit to them, to their families, and that are meaningful and that are clean, will keep them away from the law, getting into contradiction with the law in the wrong way. So the ministry of the president is saying Guyana is a safe place, but you know, these stories, social media goes all over the world, and persons are seeing what is happening. And so they are aware of what is happening in our country today. And then yesterday afternoon, we had a very horrific accident where a 7-year-old lost her life, you know, after being struck down by a sand truck. Well, also I want to take the time to extend the deepest sympathies to the parents and the relatives of little Ciara, who lost her life in a very horrific way. And we do hope that, you know, they can find the comfort and the peace as they cope with the loss of their young one. You know, a very, very, very tender age, you know, to have lost a child, a relative, a friend. And with that in mind, you know, we need for there to be more to be done in relation to road safety in Guyana. You know, you're traveling along the road, whether you're walking, whether you're a pedal cyclist, whether you're a motorcyclist, whether you're in a car, whatever vehicle, and you see some magic being done on the road by some drivers, and you wonder what is really going on, what's going on in their minds at the way in which they're driving. And you know, we said the minibus, they have a culture of their own, and it's, you know, the hire car drivers, and sometimes people, you know, who are trying to go within the road safety policies, the road safety rules, find themselves having to do some magic themselves to avoid accidents by those who don't have any care of how they travel on the roads. And I think, you know, we need to see more traffic policemen on the roads, and not only stopping persons for some issues that, you know, sometimes those issues that they stop and the things that they say, you want to know what's going on, what are they training as traffic policemen, but to be real professional traffic policemen, to be really professional, and to be able to apprehend the real culprits. Because sometimes you see some people who are within the ambits of the rules, the road safety rules, they're being stopped. And you have some of those who don't have no care for what is going on the road. They can't be bothered, you know. Sometimes I say they have a date with death and they're going crazy. And they're not stopped. Sometimes you see them hailing up the traffic policeman. So you ask yourself, what's really the problem? Should I do the wrong thing and be safe, or do the right things and be safe? Which one? Which way should I go? So we need more to be done, and so we're calling on the Minister of Public Security, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, want to be Prime Minister of Guyana. There's lots of things that has to be done. You know, as I said, when you were out there in the opposition, when you were on the campaign trail, you had all the answers to the crime and all the various works that come under the Guyana Police Force. Today, you seem not to have any answers and get offended when media persons would, you know, ask certain questions. So we need to see policies and programs coming into play that will see Guyana having safer roads where you can walk and not be afraid. You can drive, you can ride. You don't have to be afraid of, you know, being killed in an accident. You know, accidents will happen all the time, but, you know, sometimes it's too much in our country for a small country like ours. And also with the crime, we need more programs and more policies. You know, they say prevention is better than cure. You don't wait until persons start to lead a life of crime and then you try to solve it. We need now, with what is going on in our country, to have programs that will be preventative methods where persons will be able to tap in on these programs, tap in on these initiatives, and they will not have a desire to go into criminal activities. So I'm calling on the Minister of Public Security, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan. You know, if you want to be one of the contenders for your prime ministerial candidacy in the coalition, then you got to bring your A game to the table. Your A game is not there. We also have the fact of GCAM has now put off the current house-to-house registration that they were touting so much about, that they're going to start house-to-house registration and they're ready to start. Now we're seeing that there is a delay, a possible 2 weeks delay, for the fact that they're saying that it is due to procurement materials not being finalized. Now that leaves a lot of wonderment in your mind. We were told that GCOM was ready to do house-to-house registration. They needed to do house-to-house registration. They claim that the list was bloated. It had so many hundreds or thousands of dead people on the list that needs to come off. And so there was a need to them to do a house-to-house registration. And that came into being after the no confidence motion was passed, and there was a time frame in which the country should have gone to general and regional elections. Now we're hearing that they're not ready, that there have been some hiccups in the procurement, the finalization of the procurement of materials for the house-to-house registration. So what is really going on? What are we paying GCOM to do? It is known that GCOM, the Guyana Elections Commission, is there to ensure that a clean and updated list is at all times ready and available, that they are always on standby at any moment to carry out general and regional elections. Why is it that we're having all this filibustering about a list and not being ready, and one time you're ready and the next time you're not ready, and one time the list can't use, and now you need a new list, and now that you need a new list you don't have the materials to go and do it? What are we doing? We're and dancing. Too much of pussyfooting around with an organization that is there to be impartial, that is there to be professional, that is there to be effective, that is there to be ready at all times for elections in a country. Because anything can happen. Anything could happen at any time. But you're there and persons are employed, staff is being paid. You have a GCOM chairman that has been unilaterally elected by the president of this country. And they don't seem to have an iota as what to do. So parties, other political parties, are now on the back foot in planning their campaigns, their strategies, their involvement in the process. Because one time you're ready and another time you're not ready. And we need, as citizens of this country, to call out GCOM on that. At the end of the day, there are agencies across this country that have work to do, and their payments of salaries and the financing of these organizations, these institutions, these agencies are being done at the cost of taxpayers' dollars. And those of us who pay our taxes, we need to speak up about it, you know? Not that you're going to sit there and take people for granted. You're being paid. I'm sure that at the end of every month, all the persons involved look to and ensure that they're being paid their salary. Then we need to tell them, no, we can't pay you this month. We're going to pay you next month, or we're going to pay you the next 2 weeks because this is not ready and that the payroll is not ready. Would you like that? No. From the highest to the lowest level, no, you wouldn't like that because everybody looks forward to their salaries at payday. Therefore, you need to produce. You need to be effective. You need to be efficient in what you do. You need to be professional in what you do. And stop taking our Guyanese people for granted. And that burden rests on the shoulders of the government because they come under some supervision of the government of this country, and the government needs to say to them that it's not acceptable. But, you know, you have a fit and proper chairman. So for them, whatever is done is fit and proper. And, you know, we have different issues across our country today, things that are affecting the people of our nation. You know, there's some, yes, because they're supporters and they're diehard supporters, there will not be an agreement with comments made on this program. I don't have a problem with that. It's a free country and you have freedom of expression, freedom of speech. But, you know, there are issues and we need to be real if we want to see our country develop, if we want to see development taking place. We're hearing so much that is happening. The Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu has been saying that, you know, they're looking at ensuring that fees at UG, no longer there's free education at UG. And, you know, it had to be pointed out. They said that on the campaign trail, it has not been effective. And we have the president last week coming out and saying about the fact of the Guyanese having free housing, you know, every Guyanese having its own home. Well, that was already established. That is why there is the housing ministry, and it has been established under both PPP governments. Because it was the PPP government under the management of the ministry by Comrade Janet Jagan, who established the various housing schemes across Guyana, the east, the west, northeast, West La Penitence, those in Berbice and these various areas. That was the person, Janet Jagan, who started off an entire housing drive under the PPP government in the 60s. And when the PPP came to government in 1992, they continued with that program also, ensuring that persons got available lands and were able to access loans and mortgages from banks to build their houses. To date, this coalition government has not been able to continue with that massive program. We're hearing about duplex apartments, we're hearing about building condos and all these kind of things, but we're just hearing, we're seeing very little that is happening. And persons continue to wait in line for their, you know, lands, and now you're not getting the lands, you have to buy the houses. So, you know, they're hoping that with the coming of oil, and, you know, we will be able to give free houses, build houses for persons. You know, so much is being rest on the oil situation in our country. But I continue, and I would always say that the coming of oil in Guyana should be able to complement all our various natural resources that were there before. And we just don't put all our eggs in one basket. Well, I'm going to take a few minutes to take some calls here on Talk Back with Gillian, and we'll open up the phone lines on 233-2459, 233-2459, and 501-0617. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Hi, good night, Julian. I enjoy your program. It's a nice program. The government needs to do a road for the East Bank diversion. All this money with the Ministry of Public Works, with Patterson. Since for the past 4 years, the province put on the East Bank a back road for diversion. Yes, there was an accident on the East Bank, and the whole road shut off. Nobody can come up East Bank or go down East Bank. And the Commissioner of Police needs to do something with the traffic department. There's no plans or nothing, any emergency take place. No traffic ranks is not on East Bank to deal with the situation. The Commissioner of Police needs to do some reshuffle of the traffic department. And especially breakdown, the person in charge of traffic breakdown needs to be removed immediately. There's no plan. Yesterday was a big backup of traffic, and all the police are on the scene. Nobody's not directed on Woodstown along the back road.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments and thank you for coming through. Have a great evening. Yes, there was a great buildup of traffic from Mandela right through to on the East Bank to where the accident took place, and persons took hours to get there. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Hello, good night to you.
Good night.
I'm sitting. Hello.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening to you. Sitting here listening to you. I want to say one thing. I mean, I comply. I take what you say concern the attitude of some drivers, but that child that get killed, where were that child's parents for a little child like that to be on the road by herself?
No, I can correct you there, caller. She was not by herself. She was with an adult. So that child wasn't there alone.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I go wrong there, but there are many kids that be on the road by themselves. I could remind you that I could remember a child get crushed when the parents say that they send that child to buy something and he was riding. The truck man claimed he passed that child, and unfortunately he gets on the rear wheel of that truck. Why you must send there? I am a driver. I'm not running away from the attitude of some drivers. They are very bad. But children are against, period, to be by themselves on the road, recycle, towing one another, and all these kind of things. Thank you.
Thank you for coming through. Well, that was a caller there talking about the accident yesterday, but you know, we need to get our facts a bit straight at times, because the child wasn't alone, the child was with an adult. And you know, it happens from time to time. Sometimes children go, some children run off out of homes and get, you know, on the vehicles, in the way of vehicles. We have a next caller. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian. Good evening.
This work, guys, great. This is 1 year and overdone. Me get a job. Me never receive a job yet. How do you think we could afford to live and pay all these taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, because all of me checking for a job, there's things going rough and I can't apply people. But I drive over 20-something years now.
Well, it's hard to get jobs across Guyana right now. Even persons with high qualifications are not getting jobs.
Yeah, but miss, I saw the good things for the government absolutely good. Clothes traders, yes. Then I make profit. But some other investment, some other like farming or whatever, get people to work for paying the government tax. But thousands of people are going to school.
Exactly, because you have your bills to pay, and you know, it's hard on you to be able to pay your bills and not, you know, you don't have a job because You know, a lot of persons we keep saying are who worked on the estates, that was the only job they knew. And you took it away from them with no real reason, you know.
No way, no way, no way.
And there is nothing for you to fall back on now. There was a lot of talk about getting people small loans to open businesses and for them to be involved in the cleaning of the community, the drains and those things. But those things have not really materialized. So I agree with you. You have your family to take care of. You have bills to pay. And there is nothing coming in. The severance pay, you know, it would have had to do so many things. How much of it is left right now for you to survive on?
Several blows, from several blows, robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Robbery did. In 2003, on the jailbreak, I do something barely to save a lot of things in this country. Because it's in contact with the police and the army and guys for security. There's a driver around there. So to make just a reach out like me, we can pick me up and we got to go with it. So hard we work. And today, we just stood up.
Well, let's hope that, you know, we'll have elections and things will change. Okay?
Be there.
Thank you for coming through. That was a former sugar worker there lamenting the fact that, you know, he has no job and he has to take care of his family. You know, and he's not the only person. There's so many others, not only sugar workers, but persons who would have lost their jobs after the 2015 elections. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Hi, good evening, Gillian.
Good evening.
I wish to make a comment on the operation of GCOM. What I've noticed recently is that GCOM has a chairman, a CEO, a deputy CEO, and a PR person. Yet it is Mr. Vincent Alexander who is making all the comments as for GCOM functions and activities. Is he taking over as the chairman of GCOM? This is one thing. The other thing that I'd like to comment on is that last Sunday I saw him on a TV program where he was saying that the legal officer gave an unsolicited opinion. However, Mr. Alexander failed to mention whether the legal opinion was keeping with the laws of the operation of GCOM. So what the PSC commissioners are doing is totally misleading and misadvising the public, and this cannot be right.
Okay, thank you for coming through. Well, that was a caller there talking about the GCOM situation and the fact, you know, that one particular commissioner seems to be the spokesperson of the commission. He gives all the information. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Hi, Ms. Gillian. A pleasant good evening.
Good evening.
With the truck issue yesterday, where was the person that guarded that child to cross the road? If you just said, that was get the fact right, that someone was with the child. If someone was with the child, where was the individual at the time of the accident? Was the person being injured? Come on. They hit the driver and burned the truck. Now, you do all of those things. Is it fair? They agree that the driver probably wrong. Who knows at the time what happened? It's not easy to stop a truck so loaded and coming down. Where was the person that held that child's hand to cross the road? Where was the person when the truck hit the child? Come on, that person should be charged.
Well, I cannot pronounce on that. Just that I corrected the caller that based on what was going around on social media, that an adult was with the child. But I can't say where the person was and what happened to the person. Okay, that was a caller there querying on the accident. I know a lot of people are, you know, annoyed about, you know, what took place at the accident. And so, you know. But at this point in time, you know, I'm not in receipt of those information. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Yeah, good evening. In respect to that accident, I think the aunt was on the phone. The child was with the aunt.
Well, yes.
On the phone when the child run across the driver's swerve.
Okay, caller.
Hello?
We cannot really, I know persons have their views, everybody have their so many different stories going around, but we can't really say what is happening, and I don't want to put that out there, right?
Yeah, another thing, with jobs to the people. All countries ago, they have shorter jobs. Nobody can get job for the whole country. People have to try to make jobs. You have to go out, do what you got to do to make $1. The government cannot find job for every person. So where all these jobs is going to find? To give all these persons, people lazy, they don't want to go out and work, they want to go and do nothing, just sit down and wait for the government to pay them money. It don't happen like that. They got to understand. And another with we talked about the crime situation. Look how many blood users run around the road. You should understand that.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Well, yes, we know the government can't find jobs for everybody, but what we're saying is that there need to be programs in place that can assist you to get there. And if there are programs in place, then persons need to be piloted to it. Because going and start a business and going out there and do a business, you just can't do it like that. There are lots of persons who need financing. There's persons who need training how to handle the financing and how to manage the business. These are programs that could be put in place. And also the fact that when you're having businesses that are closing down rapidly and more and more persons are joining the unemployment ranks, that is what makes it a bit tedious and burdensome on persons. So yes, we're quite aware, governments can make so many jobs available, but we also need in our country to have programs that will assist persons to be able to take advantage of what is, of our resources, and to be able to utilize it in such a manner that they can find themselves, as we say, self-employment, maybe establishing a business where they can employ persons. So that is where we need to go. The programs, the policies that will assist persons in being able, to get there and to do that and to make themselves employed. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Good night.
Good night.
The accident with the driver on the road, that driver wasn't wrong.
All right, we don't want to burden down the fact with the accident. Caller, we're talking about building our country, getting forward. I mentioned the fact of the accident on the program because, as I said, the need for road safety programs that would assist persons, both drivers and pedestrians.
Okay,
right?
One more thing.
That is what we need.
They beat up the driver in the area.
Well, that was not good. That was not good.
Very wrong.
Yes, I agree with you.
That was wrong. The police were there. The police cannot control them.
Okay, well, at least what we learned is that the police was able to take him to safety to the station. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming through. As I said to the caller, I mentioned the accident based on the fact that we need to have a lot of programs going on in our schools and even in our communities, so persons can become aware, road safety aware of what they should do. I don't think that some of even our children and adults know, how you should cross. You should use a pedestrian crossing, and in the absence of a pedestrian crossing being nearby, what you should do and how you should cross the road. Don't anticipate the speed of a vehicle. So I'm not looking at who was with the child, who wasn't with the child, and who was wrong and who was right. I am looking at the fact where we need to be able to have programs that will assist us, that these things will not happen. Because it's a lot of misjudgment at times that take place. And, we as leaders, as politicians in our country, it is left on us to make these programs, these campaigns, these policies available to persons so that they can, be able to use our roads in an effective manner. And, that is why I made a call for more traffic policemen on the road and for them to operate in a very professional manner, so that persons can be able to feel safe when using the roads here. One person has said that there need to be a diversion road on the East Bank. It is needed, and I think should be to start to look at that, because with that buildup of traffic, persons could have very well missed their flights getting to the airport, I've experienced that already, heading to the airport and you have, it wasn't an accident, but it was a roadblock, and because of the roadblock, the long hours that you had to spend in the line, by the time you arrived at the airport, the flight was already leaving. So we need to be able to look at that and be able to see how possible it is for us to have, another road. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Good evening, Mrs. Burton. I know crime is getting out of the Guyana. But let us say, if the APNU is to lose the election and the PPP is to get into power, would you think crime would go away?
I am not saying, earlier as I was mentioning about crime will always be in any country, anywhere. But what I'm saying is that, again, we need to have the programs and the policies in place that will not see this, massive increase in persons going into homes, robbing people, beating them up, killing them. You're traumatized when those things happen, when you hear it happen. If it happened near to you in your community, you're wondering if you're going to be next. We're looking at the safety mode and how can we deal with it? How can we, work to reduce it? And that is where the conversation should lead. I'm not saying that we're going to get rid of crime regardless of who is in government. You will always have criminals. But how do you deal with it?
One more question, Mrs. Burton. Would you like to see a day when we have election in Guyana? In the polling station, you see people wearing jersey, green jersey, gaffing and...
Well, I will tell you, that you see them gaffing. Or you're talking about the colors of the clothing that they're wearing?
I'm talking about regardless of what color they wear, their affiliation with this party or that party. I want to see before I shall depart this life. When we go to the police station, put your man put gaffing the black man put gaffing everybody, and we come out of yard gaffing.
Exactly.
That doesn't say as guy leave.
That's right.
But if me use friend, we going down the road, right? You might have a different political affiliation. You might have one, two. We friends going down the road, and you see a blue one, you say, I like this your side, mate, and I see and say, like it, I buy it. That doesn't say we start friends.
Yeah. But you see, the thing about it, I'm in agreement with what you're saying, because I often lament the fact that sometimes we're living all comfortable and good. As soon as election times come about, they call it the silly period. Everybody gone crazy. Everybody who used to be good together, because you might be supporting this political party and I'm supporting a different one. We're not talking on talking terms. And when the election's done, we come back together. So why can't we continue it? And so I'm saying, I am agreeing with you that we need to become more mature.
Until we become mature.
Huh?
When that happens, then we could get mature.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to become more mature-minded when it comes to our elections.
Please, Mr. Gillian, whenever this lady borrowed to politics, Guyana with Miss her, not the BP alone, Guyana with Miss her, she saw this country well. Before I depart, I would like to give my credit to her. She's a true politician. She saw this country well, and I don't feel Guyana much DPP was able to replace her. She's a wonderful politician. And I wish her the best in the future before I depart this life.
Okay. Thank you so much for your comments.
Okay.
Well, I agree with the caller there, you know. We got to be more mature when it comes to elections. You don't beating up people because you feel that, you know, they are supporting a everybody, it's freedom of expression, and that is in your human rights. You know, your right to affiliate, associate, you know. That mustn't be that you must beat up people and you don't talk and that kind of thing. You have to disagree to agree. And we have to be able to be mature minded, look at things as how it is, and sort it out. And it is left up to us, the people, to channel it in that area. And don't be carried away with, you know, the pronouncements by some persons. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian. Hello? Okay, we lost that caller there. So I agree with the caller, you know, we need to be more mature-minded, and the fact that he mentioned the fact of Comrade Gail to share, you know, being, yes, she's very an invaluable person, you know, somebody that would be harder to really replace at any point in time. You know, she's an institution of political information, and so persons like those are very hard to find, so we need young people to step up to the table. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian. Okay, we lost another caller there. And so, you know, we need our young people to take up their roles. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Hi, I'm Burton. Good night to you.
Good night.
I would like to refer a very important issue which is going on right about now. The CID coming in the big market, that established market, taking people goods away, taking it by phone, like from people who see phone off the road and bring it and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are innocent, but you know, some will.
So who is doing that?
The CID.
Okay.
And innocent people are being taken in. Everybody just has to run for cover and hide.
Okay, so you're saying CID persons are coming in and they're taking away goods and items from persons,
yes, right,
seizing it.
In the market right about now.
Okay.
And different stalls throughout the whole Georgetown there.
Okay, well, we need to check with that, you know, if it's a campaign it's going on, and how is it being directed. Okay?
Okay then.
Thanks for coming through.
Okay.
Well, that was a caller there saying that CID persons are going in the market and taking away goods from persons, and that, you know, some of are legitimate. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian. You need to turn down your radio. Well, we had to lose that call there because, you know, that we were getting a lot of feedback. I have time for just one more call here on Talk Back with Gillian. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian. Hello? We lost that caller there. Yeah, it's coming up to program time here, and we have a call coming through. Good evening and welcome to Talk Back with Gillian.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I'm good.
I like this program here, very good education program.
Okay.
I want to make one or two contributions.
Go ahead.
I'm from Highborn and the school here.
Mm-hmm.
It was what I want to say. We never lose the election. That is one. And let me be honest with you. About 20 or 25 minutes ago, you have some boys in this street at Highborn back street. They drive this motorbike, riding motorbike, ridicule, without helmet and so on. And some of the driver not all, where the truck driver and the car driver and taxi and so on, they driving on that roadway, ridicule, and especially some of them are smoking and drive, and some of them are drinking and drive, and this is against the law. And this morning, too, about 8:30 to 9, at Persaud there, you have one of the police car, and the other two vans, they were parking at a special place down there, and you see other cars and things and so on. I don't know what they're all, but I don't have a camera phone. I have to draw and put it on the media. And all these kinds of things is going on. at the Highborn Battlefield. You have the Elder Boys School as well, which been secondary school by the line to school and things as well. The school north, the school at the Highborn Battlefield, they have built up top of the school and them kind of things as well. And car road police, plenty of many times and tell me they come in and never come. And all these are wrong kind of things. When I tend to come and road station is just about a 3/4 mile from where Highborn to Aurora.
Okay.
So that's my contribution. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming through. Well, that was our final caller for the evening here on Talk Back with Gillian. We had lots of positive calls coming through, and you know, persons talking about the need for another access road that would lead from East Bank right through to Georgetown in cases where you have traffic congestion, and it will also provide, you know, as a relief for the traffic congestions that we're having. The Gaisuka employee who called needing jobs, you know, these persons are out there and there are no jobs for them. And, you know, something needs to be done because they have families to take care of, they have bills to pay, and, you know, that is needed. All in all, it was a great evening here on a Talk Back with Gillian. I do hope that, you know, many of the issues that persons ventilated here this evening, I know that the coalition government normally have their persons listening in. So I do hope that, you know, they're listening and that they will be able to heed what the persons are asking. As I said, you know, we need more road safety campaigns, more road safety programs to once again educate our people, our road users, as to the dangers of using the road in an irresponsible manner. And, you know, too many times we see persons in their vehicles on their cell phones. We see persons walking the road and they're texting and they're, you know, chatting away on the cell phones. It's not safe because in a split second anything could happen. So, you know, as technology advances, as new things come on stream, there is need for new policies and awareness of the dangers of some of these things that we use in such, you know, a reckless and an irresponsible manner. Well, it's now coming up to time for me to say goodbye to you for this evening. And as usual, I'll close with an excerpt from Dr. Chedi Jagan. And it says, it's on development. And it says, we see development as people-centered. When some people speak of development, they see only foreign capital and private investment. We see also social capital and human resources. And when we talk of development, we mean development with a human face. For us, people come first. They are the center of everything. Once again, we see development as people-centered. When some people speak of development, they see only foreign capital and private investment. We see also social capital and human resources. And when we talk of development, we mean development with a human face. For us, people come first. They are the center of everything. And that is an excerpt from one of Dr. Chedi Jagan's speech to the people of Guyana. This is where I must take my leave of you for this evening. It was great being with you, and thanks for having me in your homes. I'll see you again next week with another program of Talk Back with Gillian. Until then, do have a great and progressive week, and do be safe when keep safe and be cautious when you're using the road. Until then, good night and have a blessed week.